Hello, Joey. It is I, CJ, once again in his truck because he definitely planned on doing this review right now. But I've been reading the 80/20 principle. Cost me a pretty penny on Audible, but I'd say it was worth it. I didn't get to talk to you on the phone about some of the stuff in the book, but I can talk about them now. So, the 80/20 principle is set up in a way that I was not quite expecting, because when I've heard people reference that principle in the past, I expected what it was supposed to be is that you spend 20% of the time getting 80% of the reward for that thing, which that's something that's mentioned in the book. That's how it's set up. However, the way that the book frames it is, instead of using this to find that last 20%, or working harder, it's talking about more for less. And it's one of the things that the book is talking about is the paradigm between more versus more, and more versus for less. More for more versus more for less. And that was one of the things I wanted to call and talk to you about, because that was challenging for me, because I was like, isn't the point of going out there and, making your mark on the world supposed to be that you're putting in hard work? But then I kind of understood a little bit better what the book was talking about. And I thought what it was saying is actually very intelligent. It is humanity's laziness combined with our intelligence that makes us the constantly progressing creatures that we are. While there are definitely going to be plenty of times that we put in hard work, we're always trying to minimize the amount of time it takes or the difficulty of a certain task. So literally anything, even things that you can think of as hard work, are actually a form of, what I'll call it, is like weaponized laziness. Like, you use tools if you work a hands-on job like you do or I do. Well, why don't you just do that with a wrench rather than a socket? Well, because that would be harder and take longer time. If that's all you have to work with, then work with it. But if you have the option available to speed up the process, like, there's nothing you have to prove to anybody. Like, I'm always trying to prove to myself that, yes, I can in fact work this hard. But it is a facade of accomplishment that I need to understand is not worth my time. It's not actually... It may be doing something good for me in terms of mental victories. However, in terms of tangible progress in the long run, it's not doing all that much. Another good example is bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is definitely something that you're going to put a lot of work into, and is going to essentially be a lifelong endeavor if it's what you choose to do. But bodybuilding is, in a sense, a form of weaponized laziness, because what your specific goal is to pack on as much muscle mass in aesthetically pleasing ways with as little time spent as possible. So while you are putting in hard work, and you are making a constant basis out of how often you're doing it, really what you get in the long run is quite liberating and allows things to be easier for you. Heavy things are going to be easier to pick up. Opportunities just in the social sphere are going to be easier, because physical beauty and attractiveness is absolutely linked with how a portion of your status in the world is. So it's not this metal thing that is like, oh, we do it just because it's difficult. There's a time and place for doing things because they're a challenge, and sometimes the challenge is just sticking to your schedule. But really the reason that we do this do our things is because there's some form of reward. I mean, like, and this is going to be a really weird tangent. Hopefully you stick with me. But this is kind of part of the reason why women are perfectly designed to push society forward, because some of the things that, and hopefully you once again catch my drift here, two of the things that a woman wants in life, if they have their head screwed on straight, is a peaceful and effortless life. They don't want to they don't want life to be harder than it needs to be. And I mean, truthfully, that's something that all of us should probably want. But it's that desire for making things progressively better and, in a sense, easier, that we keep on pushing forward with inventions and systems of doing things. That was one of the big takeaways for me in this book. Another one, it started going into more than just business stuff, but also relationship stuff as well, talking about how 80% or a number similar is responsible for, is given to us by 20% of the people we know. 80% of the happiness is given by 20% of the people we know. And essentially, whether you're talking about the relationship section or the business section, it's talking about how you focus on that 20% at work with your relationships, but it doesn't stop there. You keep on digging further into making new 80-20 paradigms. So if you're focusing on the 20% of friends that make you the happiest to be around, well, there may just be some other form of 80-20 within that. And another thing that the book talked about that really challenged me, because it's something that I have essentially thought the exact opposite about for a while now, is the idea of specialization. So there's somebody that I watch on YouTube that has said the same things before, and I did not want to agree with him because I didn't like the idea of it. But essentially, everybody is going to have a roster of inclinations and talents. You're going to essentially garner 80% of the reward from perhaps only 20% of things that you could potentially do. And I guess a better way of saying that is that there's going to be things that, whether you're talking about within sports or in work, you're going to have a physical or mental inclination for being able to succeed very easily at. And it's taught, and the book talks about specializing very heavily into whatever that thing might be for you and exploiting it as much as you can. And I was like, well, hang on a minute. That goes against what I've thought, which is that it's better to be a generalist. It's better to know a little bit about a lot. And part of the reason I thought that, and hopefully we can talk about this because it was something I got from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The Rich Dad at some point says it's better to know a little bit about a lot. And I had taken that to heart for a very long time. But now I have two different sources that are telling me essentially the opposite. So I would definitely love to talk to you about that. But it talks about how much easier life will be if you can figure out something that you are able to succeed at with comparatively less effort than other people, and victory comes easy, and exploiting that. And there's like this other thing in me that's like, what about the integrity in that? But truthfully, excuse me, had to burp. Truthfully, it's only intelligent to exploit what you're good at. If there is success to be found in life, it only makes sense that you would pursue the path less traveled, the path of least resistance, because that's going to give you the largest avenues for being able to progress down that, whatever that be, as quick as possible. And so that like had raised an integrity thing in me, because I was like, exploiting, well, hang on now, I don't know if I really want that or agree with that. But see, the thing that I suppose I need to reconcile within myself is that I have had my self-image too heavily tied into how difficult something is for me to do for a long time. Probably because there's something in me that I'm insecure about. Of course, there is a time and place for a challenge, but and part of the reason why I always fail at these daily routines is that I'm always trying to make something more difficult than it needs to be. But truthfully, I should be looking at it the opposite way. So, yeah, I think I'll cut it there for now. I would love to talk to you about this book. It definitely challenged me in a couple different ways, but I feel like if I were to put aside the parts of me that maybe are false ideas I have, or maybe they're not, who knows, we'll just need to discuss it. I thought this book was being quite intelligent in terms of what it was saying you should do and what you should avoid. So hopefully you enjoyed the sound of my car engine, and I will talk to you later, Joey. Peace.